Ellie is a city planner in the Mallory Park district. Her supervisor, Lorna, sends her as a representative to the Regency event to assess and return with an impression. Ellie gets to the party and catches Derek's attention when she moves a potted plant from its original position because it risks getting iced. Derek Cowan owns the penthouse in the building. He also owns a construction company and recognizes her name from some of his recent approvals. There's a pending proposal on the table and he hopes it will scale through like the rest. Ellie sees no reason why it shouldn't. Ellie gets a call from her mom, Catherine. Her father hurt his back and will need help on the farm. Catherine is calling without his knowledge because she can be strong-headed. Ellie takes permission from Lorna to leave, explaining her family owns a Poinsettia farm, and it's a crucial time for them because it's Christmas, so the flowers are in high demand. Lorna grants her leave on the account that the Cowan proposal gets approved before Christmas. Ellie gets home and is welcomed by her niece, Avery, and sister Grace. Grace's husband, Rick, is away until the new year, but when he returns, Grace plans to tell him she's pregnant. Everyone else knows except him. Catherine welcomes the girls on arrival. Greg is surprised to see Ellie because she usually comes just before Christmas. He's even more shocked to learn that Catherine called Ellie over because he hurt his back and needs help on the farm. Ellie spots a parked truck and almost trips over a bucket while trying to decipher whose truck it is. The bucket was kept carelessly, so she picks it up, but ends up running into someone with a bag of dirt. He apologizes and introduces himself as Shawn. Shawn works on the Poinsettia farm and has heard a lot about her. Ellie can't say the same for him. He does things differently from how she's known them to be. The soil is usually kept in the greenhouse, close to the plants, and not in the driveway where they can be hazardous. While he's sorry about the bucket she almost tripped on, he feels having the bags of soil closer to the truck is more efficient. Ellie notices that Shawn and Greg have become good friends. This year, Shawn will be constructing a frame for the parade, and Greg offers his expertise, boasting about his skills as a handyman and his efficiency. Greg recently moved to Conway after being forced to sell his farm near Grafton, a situation that Ellie finds troubling. Shawn, however, explains that the relentless development around Greg's property left him with little choice but to sell. Shawn stays for dinner. His parents are in Ohio visiting his brother. He usually tags along, but this year he has work to do on the farm and in the parade. Ellie confirms that their farm still has the contract for the poinsettias at the parade. This year, the parade is requesting double the supply. Greg mentions they'll find a way around the workload. Ellie tells Grace that Shawn's presence makes her feel a type of way. She feels like she's being replaced. Grace infers Ellie is only home for a couple of weeks, and their father would still need help after she leaves again. Ellie is geared up for work, but something is off. She can't find the other workers, and her mother is on the brink of tears. She goes into the greenhouse and finds rows of poinsettias still green instead of red. They're 2 weeks away from their delivery. Greg is upset because he's kept to routine, but the flowers won't blossom. He eventually storms out, and Ellie surmises that her dad and Shawn must be doing something wrong. On the other hand, Shawn believes they could be doing everything right, but climate change could interfere and frustrate their efforts. Greg explains Catherine called Ellie home because of the poinsettias, not because of his back. She might live in a city now, but she has a natural gift in the farm and it's needed to help them solve the issue at hand. Ellie understands, but wants her dad to take a break so she can handle things. With Shawn at her side, she gets to work. She notices there are more things he does differently from how she remembers, but she lets him have his way as long as she has room to do her thing. They quickly become familiar with each other, exchanging tongue twisters and sharing laughter. Ellie learns the parade needs to double their usual order of poinsettias because it's going to be televised. Patty Mason is leading the parade. She's a local celebrity and Ellie's childhood rival. Ellie didn't know Patty had her own TV show. Even after several years, Grace and Catherine can still sense the competitive nature in Ellie at the mention of Patty's name. Catherine asks Ellie to help run some errands. The truck won't start, and Shawn arrives just in time to check it out. The issue will need some spare parts, so he offers to give Ellie a ride. They go to Miss Mabel's first, and Mabel is shocked to see Ellie earlier than usual for the holidays. Ellie spots birdhouses and Shawn mentions he makes them. He seems to know how to do everything. She also spots Patty's gingerbread houses and has to admit they're crafty and appealing. On their way to the hardware store, Shawn asks Ellie why she moved to the city. She can't give a definite answer but can say Conway doesn't have much to get by. Shawn can't live in a city, it's noisy and busy and he prefers his peace and quiet. Ellie and Shawn return home to find Patty. Patty welcomes Shawn with a kiss, but Ellie does her best to hide her shock that they're in a relationship. The two women are hostile, both eager to show off. Before she leaves, Patty tells Greg to think about her proposal. Ellie becomes furious hearing that Patty wants to buy their farm. A lot isn't going well, and Ellie decides they'll have to fix it in time. Ellie starts to prioritize the farm over pending city work. She does her research and busies Lorna's calls. When she still can't get a headway, she goes to her favorite spot and finds Shawn there. He's also taken a liking to that spot. They agree it's a good place to think. Ellie divulges that they could try changing the fertilizer they feed the bracts. She knows her father will fight the idea because he's not accustomed to change. Ellie gets a call from Lorna reminding her she has a pending workload. Ellie lies that she's diligently working on it. Just as she predicted, Greg doesn't like the new idea, but he softens up when Ellie reminds him they called her in to help. She's noticed the plants are cramped up, and Shawn explains they had to fit the orders into the only available greenhouse. That's when she gets an idea to space them out, and Shawn helps her execute it. Catherine and Ellie deliver their annual batch of poinsettias to the town's school. Catherine grew the cuttings from last year's harvest. Ellie finds Shawn in one of the classrooms. He's built a sizable birdhouse, modeled after his house he's working on. Both Ellie and the kids are intrigued. Patty comes in with her gingerbread craft, and as predicted, she and Ellie have a row centered around the farm. Patty has zero knowledge in farming, but she's looking to expand and venture. Shawn has to remind them the kids are still present, and they should wrap it up. Patty invites Ellie to her house to see what she can pull off with poinsettias. Catherine and Ellie chat. Seems Ellie might have moved to the city to prove a point. She doesn't want to admit it, but her heart is on the farm, and she might have only chosen a different path because her dad got too tough with his expectations. Catherine hints that Greg is yet to sell the farm because Ellie plays a big role in the decision. Ellie decides to see for herself what Patty could possibly do if she successfully purchased the farm. She arrives just in time for Patty's filming, and Patty beckons her to join on screen. Reluctantly, Ellie goes, but her habit of wanting to do things her way gets in the way, and she ends up embarrassing herself on live TV. Before Ellie leaves, Patty tells her she's not trying to ruin her family legacy. She's only trying to help. Ellie is in a sour mood when she returns home, and Shawn talks her into a better mood. He shares his own experience with big decisions and explains having to sell his farm made him understand he's an adult, much like his parents. Everyone is just trying to do what they hope works best. Ellie gets a call from Lorna, who lets her know that Derek from the reagent party asked about her. He's taken an interest in her and would like to go on a date. The fertilizer strategy didn't work, and Ellie becomes frustrated because they're 5 days away from their delivery. Catherine decides Ellie needs to run more errands. It's a family tradition for a Palmer to cut down the Christmas tree. Ellie and Shawn get the job done, and he tells her about a silly family tradition he has. He hopes to become a family man, but he doubts that Patty is the right one to go down that path with. He's never even told her about his family tradition. Ellie is the first person he's ever told. Patty shows up at the Palmers, and Greg takes her out to speak with her. He asks her to give him until New Year to make a decision. Patty reluctantly agrees and heads home. Ellie joins her father on the front porch and advises him to sell to Patty. She can't figure out what's wrong with the poinsettias, and she feels if the farm has given up its magic, then it's best to let it go. Regardless of what happens, Greg is grateful to have been part of the magic in the first place. The conversation with Greg sparks up an idea. She infers the bracts might be receiving too much light from recent city developments. They'll need to get less porous coverings and accelerate the blooming process by alternating between heat and cold to trick the plants and possibly get them ready in time. Greg runs off to make a call and get things in place. Shawn is having dinner with Patty when Ellie calls. Patty wants Shawn to be on her next segment. She's aiming bigger by the minute. Shawn learns that Ellie has had a breakthrough. It's not certain yet, but he agrees with the idea. Patty gets distracted by a call from an agent and ends up walking away from dinner, leaving Shawn and his hanging thoughts. Ellie and Shawn take care of the necessary tasks the next day. Later, Ellie brings Shawn up to the rooftop, where they look out over the land below. She reflects on how, once upon a time, owning the Palmer property had been her biggest dream. On another note, Shawn plans to attend Avery's recital. He has become like an adopted member of the family. After Avery's recital, Patty announces that Shawn will guest star in her next episode. Everyone else except Patty immediately sees that Shawn isn't comfortable with the idea. He ends up being camera shy, a proper deer stuck in the headlights. Patty has to cover up for his fright. Shawn forgot his axe, so Ellie takes it back to him. He's building more stuff and offers to give her a tour of the house he's been working on. Ellie gets a call from Lorna, and Derek is present. The community is pushing back hard against Derek's latest development. They need her back in the city by Monday, a day before Christmas. The place has a balcony that overlooks the mountains. Ellie is mesmerized by the view. She admits going to the city was an act of rebellion. Shawn advises her to right her wrongs while she still has the chance. It's the moment of truth. Workers show up for harvest, and Catherine remarks there'll be a celebration no matter what happens. They raise the tarps and see the poinsettias have changed color. It's a big relief and a true reason to celebrate. There's a gathering at the farm. Everyone has steamy mugs and warm clothes, and there's a giant sleigh for some extra fun. Ellie tells Catherine she'll be leaving the next day. Shawn addresses the crowd, appreciating the farm and the Palmers. Ellie especially. Patty got a job offer in Seattle and will take it. She's come to realize Shawn prefers to stay in Conway. They wish each other well. Ellie has to return to the city. She promises she'll be home for next Christmas. Ellie sent in a reverse proposal, but over dinner with Derek, he states her proposal won't please buyers. He wants his original proposal approved. Ellie decides she's had enough and wants to go home. She's tired of forced development and poinsettias placed on ice. She wishes Derek well and packs a bag to go back to Conway. Grace will come pick her up. Ellie gets home and finds her dad has signed off the farm. He was tired of running it, and it had to go to someone. Ellie puts her pride aside and asks Patty to let her have the farm back. She's ready to become its new owner and stop running from what she has passion for. Patty agrees. It's the day of the parade. Shawn is shocked to see Ellie is back. She tells him she's staying for good, and it's the perfect opportunity to unload how he feels. Patty and him broke up. He belongs in Conway with his dream girl. Ellie knows he's referring to her and pulls him in a kiss. Rick makes it in time for the parade. Grace and Avery are excited to see him. It's the best Christmas yet, but Shawn has room for next year to be better.